case you missed it, we just released the Rappler Communities app. You might be thinking, isn't this just Rappler's website in app form? No. This platform is so much more than just your average news app. First, Rappler Communities has safe, secure chat rooms dedicated to different topic-based communities. From good governance down to pop culture. This journalist-designed platform combines news with community building, a first of its kind in the world. Second, our community spaces lets you connect directly with journalists and thought leaders vetted by Rappler's editorial team. Community members get to read about their ideas, ask for tips, and participate in our upcoming AMAs. Third, the platform is just as interesting under the hood. The app was built on Matrix, which is an open protocol dedicated to creating decentralized, secure communications that are free from entanglements with big tech companies. TLDR, you get to use tech without tech using you. That's why Rappler Communities is more than just news. It helps like-minded people connect without fear, form genuine communities, and bring ideas to action. We hope to see you in Rappler Communities. Chat soon!
Magandang araw po sa lahat. Ako po si Vice Mayor Ferdie Estrella mula sa Baliwag City. Maiksing pagpapakilala lang po para sa aming minamahal na Baliwag. Marahil familiar po kayo dahil narinig po ninyo ang bayan namin bilang isang brand ng provincial bus na bumabiyahe sa EDSA. Gayun din ng masarap na brand ng lechon manok na maraming branches sa buong bansa. Pero bago pa man maging commercial brand ng Baliwag, isa po kaming bayan, isa po kaming first-class municipality sa lalawigan ng Bulacan bago kami maging ika-148 na city sa buong Pilipinas noong December 17, 2022. Kami ang ika-4 na lungsod sa buong lalawigan ng Bulacan at kami po ay binubuo ng 27 barangays, urban and rural classifications at may kabuuang sakop na 4,505 hectares kung saan hindi bababa sa 60% ay agricultural land pa rin. Ang Baliwag ay may populasyon na 175,897 habang ang number of households ay naitala sa 44,842. Noon pa man, ang Baliwag ay tinaguriang sentro ng kalakal at komersyo sa northern bahagi ng aming lalawigan. Sa mga negosyong bumubuhay sa aming ekonomiya, may tuturing na local major industry ang pagsasaka, paghahayupan, paggawa ng furniture, garments, processed foods, at pyrotechnics. Ang Baliwag din ay kinikilalang third highest rice producer sa lalawigan ng Bulacan. Sa Philippine Development Plan, ang Baliwag ay isa sa mga key expansion areas ng Mega Manila at isa ring regional center. Kung i-google po ninyo ang Baliwag, kilala po kami bilang may pinakamahabang Lenten procession sa buong bansa. Nasa 150 karosas na po ang lumalaho kada taon. Kilala rin po kami sa buntal hat weaving, kung kaya't ang aming festival tuwing Mayo ay halaw sa produktong ito. Salamat po, Liveable Cities Philippines, led by Chairman Sir Guillermo Luz, for the second opportunity to share our success story. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat.
We all want the best for the Philippines. Inclusive growth, quality services, and a transparent government. Reality is, the three key sectors of society, government, business, and civil society are working separately to achieve the same goal. How do we solve this? This is where we come in. The Institute for Solidarity in Asia takes the initiative of building a dream Philippines. We work closely with national government agencies and local government units to create and sustain a strategic and collaborative roadmap to raise their standards of public service to the Filipino people. This results in raised household incomes, increased private sector investments, and renewed hope from the Filipino.
I am very grateful with the men and women of ISE. They've been helping us in terms of coaching, mga interventions. And I'm happy when we get to talk with them. We sit down and help each other come up with solutions to problems, philosophies involving governance and things like that. Since we are doing PGS here, we were able to generate a big amount for programs, projects, and activities for the province.
Because of the discipline installed by the performance governance system where we are measured with metrics that are relevant, the people in DTI subscribe to a more effective governance system. In fact, because of this, we have instituted a very effective tagline, which is serbisyong higit pa sa inaasahan, which is hinged on the performance governance system. It's really doing more than what is expected. Because as public servants, then really that's all we need to do, and we need to commit to that.
The Philippine Heart Center has had a very exciting PGS journey and a very fruitful collaboration with ISA. To share our experience, our PGS journey, we held a Governance in Healthcare Summit. More than 400 participants from almost 100 hospitals, all hungry to learn what good governance is in the healthcare setting. The Philippine Heart Center sincerely believes that the Filipino patient deserves the best possible care, nothing less.
We believe that we have what it takes. I'm using the word we have it because when David Macmillan, the director of Palladium of Fame, came over, he told us that he was able to audit 45 institutions all over the world, and only 4 made it under him. And lo and behold, in March of 2018, we were there in UK and gave honor to the country as one of the only 2 Palladium Hall of Famer all over the world. ISA, the Institute for Solidarity in Asia, has it. There are many frameworks outside, but for the Army, we're thankful and we're grateful that we have partnered with them through thick and thin in this governance journey of the Army in serving the people and securing the land towards a better Philippines.
Complementing our work with NGAs and LGUs, ISA's training programs and events bring together like-minded organizations and individuals to share their hopes, efforts, and governance journeys in serving the Filipino people better. As we work towards achieving our vision of a country where every government institution delivers and every citizen prospers, we call upon our fellow Filipinos to join us hand in hand in transforming the country to our dream Philippines.
Nak, kaya pa? Okay po. Nak, may pamerienda tayo dun, ha? Mahusay, anak. Sir! Sir! Nak, ikaw munang bahala dito.
Ako po?
Yung investors, close the deal. I trust you.
When the moment demands it, the only path forward is to choose courage.
Sir, this is too inefficient. I'm sure there's a better way.
Not just to face what's in front of you, but to transform.
Hi sir, nice to meet you. Anna from Globe Business.
It's the decision to grow, to push beyond limits, and to reshape your own potential. It's choosing not just to endure, but to turn challenges into progress. Doubt into determination, and fear into fuel.
Nak? Kamusta?
Pa, you're supposed to be resting.
Something wrong at the plant?
Kakayanin naman po. I've got a lot of help behind me.
That's good.
Oh, Iho,
Sir,
congratulations.
thank you so much, sir.
Your digital transformation will set us up for years to come.
When the moment arrives, choose to rise above. Choose the courage to transform with Globe Business.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please stand by. The Liveable Cities Lab is about to begin.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang mag-ibig, teras ng sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng mag-ibig, sa manluluping, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mo pagaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iibig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang may di magdidinig. Luma ng araw ng walhagin pansin ka, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya ng pagkay mag-aami, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Please focus on the screen for some key reminders. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us for our third Liveable Cities Lab of the year. We're excited to have you here as we explore strategies to improve public service efficiency, encourage innovation, and strengthen leadership in local governments. To officially kick off today's event, it is my privilege to introduce Ms. Yenny B. Gonzales, Program Director of the Liveable Cities Philippines. Please join me in giving her a warm welcome as she shares her opening remarks.
Thank you, Mix. Good afternoon and welcome to our third Liveable Cities Lab of the year. We had originally planned to hold this session in person via Zoom, but due to the weather, we've shifted fully online. Thank you for everyone joining us here on Zoom and on Facebook. We're glad to have you with us. This event is brought to you in partnership with the League of Cities of the Philippines, Globe Telecom, and Coca-Cola Philippines. We're grateful for their continued support in making spaces like this possible. Cities drive our nation's progress. They are where innovation meets public service and where leadership can truly shape a better future. As a new wave of mayors steps into office and as re-elected leaders build on their work, we are at a crucial point to rethink governance and invest in more livable, more resilient communities. These leaders are already pushing forward new ideas, reforming systems, and strengthening collaboration to better serve their people. From cutting red tape to closing policy gaps, they're building cities that can keep pace with changing needs and growing challenges. This year's theme, Sustain+ability, Enabling Cities of the Future, reflects this mission. We want to give cities the tools, strategies, and partnerships they need to grow with purpose and with people in mind. At a time when cities face the realities of climate change, as we are experiencing now, rapid digitalization and rising citizen expectations, good governance becomes the foundation of progress. It's what turns plans into action and potential into real impact. Today's lab is all about sharing practical strategies, metrics-driven leadership, citizen-powered transparency, intelligent systems, stronger networks, and our goal is to learn more from each other and scale what works so that more cities can unlock real lasting change. We're honored to have with us a panel of experienced and forward-thinking leaders. Ms. Pia Ranada of Rappler, Mr. Karlmarx Rubia of Globe Telecom, Dr. Jesus Estanislao, founding chairman of the Institute for Solidarity in Asia, the Honorable Benjamin Magalong, Mayor of Baguio City. We also have a special video message from Vice Mayor Ferdinand V. Estrella of Baliwag City. As the former mayor, his leadership helped transform Baliwag's standing in the competitiveness index and earned multiple recognitions for digital governance and transparency. He'll be sharing insights on localizing excellence, how competitiveness Governance Transforms Cities.
Magandang araw po sa lahat. Ako po si Vice Mayor Ferdie Estrella mula sa Baliwag City. Muli, isang karangalan po sa akin na maimbitahan bilang one of the speakers sa gawaing ito. Liveable Cities Lab, building good governance for livable cities. And for my presentation, I will be sharing on the topic Localizing Excellence, how competitive governance transforms cities. Let me share to everyone how we were able to achieve the major leap in the competitiveness ranking and how the competitiveness transformed our LGU in a significant manner. To inspire everyone, let me share that when I assumed the office as Baliwag Mayor in 2016, kami po ay nasa laylayan ng CMCI. Baliwag placed 960th in the CMCI ranking. But from 2017 to 2023, sa pagkakapit-bisig sa serbisyong may malasakit, Baliwag has become one of the top-performing municipalities in the country. Unang taon sa aking unang termino, we were invited sa CMCI awarding sa PICC. Pero audience at tagapalakpak lang po kami that time. And that incident inspired me and challenged me. Ang sabi ko sa aking sarili, sa susunod na taon, papanik din ako sa stage na yan. Paano kami magiging awardee? Sa dinatnang ko before, parang kontento na ang mga tao sa pagpasok from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Parang walang clear vision, walang innovations, walang motivation to come out of their comfort zones. Masaya na silang sumwesweldo, but I won the elections not just to serve, but to make a difference in the lives of my constituents. I started to re-engineer the bureaucracy. I realized I cannot be an effective and well-loved public servant if I will not be able to share and fulfill my vision and goals for Baliwag. My competitive spirit led me to explore with my LGU team the ways by which we can improve our performance indicators in the areas of government efficiency, economic dynamism, infrastructure, and resiliency. Change should always come from within. Political will dictates the need and urgency to address many internal bureaucratic issues. To assure a competitive governance prompted us to challenge the status quo. This includes 3 strategies, namely onboarding new bloods who can move and shake the lethargic organization to cope with the reforms that we will need to institute. Second strategy that we employed integrating computerization in operation to promote efficiency and transparency. And lastly, communicating battle cry that will rally everyone to embrace the culture of serbisyong may malasakit, a culture that we defined as having the will and ability to do extra mile in public service while ensuring that the programs, projects, and services rendered are marked with excellence. I was fortunate to have that team that gelled well. Thus, the synergy of outputs had a ripple effect to the entire LGU's performance until such time that many have acquired that vibrant rhythm and have imbibed the competitive pace that we set from the start. In our transformative journey as an LGU, I would have to throw my hats off to my competent team who moved heaven and earth to effect the reforms we need to introduce. Plus, we invested heavily on technology that the LGU needed that time, both hardware and software. So yun na nga po, meron ng tamang mga tao sa posisyon, may mga maayos na gamit pa. Kaya nga next move na namin ay mag-comply sa lahat ng requirements for competitive and good governance, especially in building a reliable database for various governance indicators. We made sure na meron kaming fully functional business one-stop shop, EBPLS, e-payment system, LGU official website, and investment promotion unit para sa aming economic partners, syempre, the business community. All of our systems were developed by our in-house team. We also updated and ensured proper implementation of all codes and plans such as the CDP, DRRMP, CLUP, ICT Plan, LIIC, LCCAP, Revenue Code, Environmental Code, Children's Code, and 10-year Solid Waste Management Plan. Lahat naman kasi ng nire-require ng national government geared towards promoting excellence, good governance, collaboration and transparency, as well as accuracy and security of information. Further, we intensified our data gathering through a strengthened network that the private sector and the NGOs, at dito na nga po nagsimula ang aming winning journey in the CMCI. In 2017, Baliwag was recognized as third most improved municipality for the first and second class municipality category, plus these recognitions. In 2018, Baliwag joined the top 10 and was hailed 9th most competitive municipality in the country, plus these recognitions. In 2019, Baliwag achieved a major milestone by becoming the third most competitive municipality in the entire country, plus these recognitions. In 2020, Baliwag went back-to-back third most competitive municipality, and again with these recognitions. In 2021, despite the pandemic, Baliwag rose to second most competitive municipality, plus these recognitions in the 4 pillars. In 2022, Baliwag maintained its upper ranking as second most competitive municipality. And in 2023, Baliwag slid a notch lower, but still made it as third most competitive municipality in the country. So how did we arrive from being at the rock bottom to becoming one of the most competitive and top-performing LGUs? Secret po sana ito, pero sasabihin ko na sa inyo. Para sa amin, tao pa rin po talaga ang sagot at hindi AI. I banked on my reliable team for consolidation and analysis of CMCI data. I banked on my reliable team to prepare and implement strategic plans and trailblazing programs. I banked on the reliable team to be strategic and resourceful in governance and managing the affairs of the LGUs. Strategically, for Baliwag, since 2016, we already pushed for e-governance to make way for innovations, digitalization, automation, online services, streamlined processes, and reliable data management. At dahil may information systems kami, gaya ng EBPLS, ang bilis na po ng assessment and computation at accurate din ang data generation at ramdam ng mga negosyante ang malaking pagkakaiba nang pumasok kami sa eksena. At sinamahan po namin ito ng warm hospitality during renewal season. This may also sound very basic, but it also helped that our concerned offices have organized filing system and documentation for easy retrieval. In our case, we have an archive and records office for centralized filing and retrieval of documents. Then, when we organized our CMCI team, the composition was mostly department heads and heads of office. We also follow an internal calendar from data gathering, consolidation, up to the submission of the CMCI data capture sheet. When we gathered the data in 2017, ito na ang naging baseline data namin. So every year, nag-update na lang po kami yung mga heads at ng mga data nila. Kami sa Baliwag, when we had the taste of our very first CMCI award in 2017, the experience propelled us to do better and better. We were still able to build the habit and make the core processes of data gathering manageable. For Baliwag, very indispensable ang CMCI data, and truly, we were able to maximize to them our advantage in terms of good local governance and in economic growth. The competitiveness ranking of Baliwag has brought positive implications for our internal and external stakeholders. For the LGU officials and employees, the consistent high ranking boosted the morale and the workforce. Lagi kaming nako-commend ng mga higher officials ng province and national agencies at laging naiimbitahan to share our best practices gaya na lang nito. The CMCI data became a reliable baseline for our data-driven governance, which we used as input when we plan for construction of relevant infrastructure and prioritization in the procurement of capital outlay. Ginamit din ito as a basis in policy interventions like pursuing MOA and MOU, approval of plans, codes, etc. We were also able to point out gaps in our programs and services like sa accreditation of tourism-related enterprises, the need for patents and trademarks na requirements sa CMCI. So, through our Tourism Office and Economic Enterprise Office, we included relevant interventions to bridge the gaps. At dahil readily available ang CMCI data ng Baliwag, it became easy for us to tap resources from public and private partners, particularly when responding and managing disasters and calamities. Identified na po namin kung kanino kami makakahiram ng mga resources. Dahil dito, we opened our doors for partnership and collaborations by pursuing MOUs and MOAs para sa sharing of resources. Moreover, nakatulong din po ito para ma-enhance ang knowledge and skills ng mga staff from the expertise of our partners. Naging preferred LGU din kami ng DILG, DTI, and DNR na in-endorse ang mga LGUs, colleges, and universities from Luzon to Mindanao for benchmarking and research work. Kaya marami pong dumadayo dito sa Baliwag to learn from us. Para sa aming constituents, naging source of pride nila ang competitiveness ranking ng Baliwag. Kasi hindi lang po ito basta prestigious recognition. Nakita at naramdaman talaga nila ang visibility at pag-improve ng quality ng physical indicators, especially the ones related in infra, economic, and resiliency. Para sa potential investors, they are also keen on Baliwag's competitiveness ranking. Pag may pumupunta sa amin at nagtatanong about it, we take pride saying we are among the top performing LGUs in the country. As a result, this information gives them a favorable impression that Baliwag is a viable city to jumpstart or expand their business ventures. Nagamit din namin ang competitiveness ranking as a leverage when we lobbied for our cityhood from 2021 to 2022. The legislators were convinced that Baliwag is indeed ready to join the League of Progressive Component Cities in the country. In 2024, we officially joined the CMCI City category. Ibang level ang City League. Dahil being the second youngest city, many older and bigger component cities are miles ahead than us. Hindi man kami pumasok pa sa top 10, but our primary goal is to continuously comply and improve our data entries in the CMCI Index. Kung nagsimula kami bilang Most Improved Municipality in 2017, baka ito rin ang maging entry award namin, hopefully sa city category. And for every award and recognition that we receive in Baliwag, lagi akong bumabalik sa mga tao. There's no other reason but to attribute our achievements to the crucial role that the leadership and management played. They are the ones who are working the extra mile to push for a competitive environment. Kaya naman sa Baliwag, we also give incentives to further inspire and motivate the team behind an achievement, and this could be monetary, promotion, or trip abroad. Just to share too, Baliwag has also been recognized with over 150 awards since 2017. Among these were conferred in the national level, namely, 6-time recipient of the Seal of Good Local Governance or SGLG from DILG, 4-time national champion in the Digital Gov Awards, Hall of Famer in Manila Bayani Awards from DILG, consistent national finalist as a most business-friendly LGU from the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industries, top LGU in nutrition ranking for the entire Central Luzon, consistent recipient of the Seal of Child-Friendly Municipality, Gawad Kalasag fully compliant LGU from RDRRMC Region 3, Seal of EBOS Compliance from the Anti-Red Tape Authority or ARTA, and also ISO 9001:2015 Quality Management System certified. In closing, I would like to inspire everyone, especially the LGUs represented here. Kung kinaya po ng Baliwag na magkaroon ng 180-degree turn sa competitiveness ranking, kung kinaya po ng Baliwag na maihanay sa top-performing LGU sa bansa, siguradong kakayanin rin po ito ng iba. Basta maging focused and strategic, encourage collaboration, and ensure that the performance is always aligned with the highest standard set for competitiveness and good governance. Having said that, maraming salamat po, Liveable Cities Philippines, led by Chairman Sir Guillermo Luz, for the second opportunity to share our success story. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor and the City of Baliwag. It's clear that the principles he shared as mayor, transparency, digital innovation, data-driven planning, and community engagement continue to guide his work today. As Vice Mayor, his focus on strong local policy and institutionalizing reforms ensures that these efforts are sustained. May we request everyone, please, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A chat box in Zoom so we can answer them during the panel discussion later. For our next speaker, we are pleased to welcome Pia Ranada, Head of Community at Rappler, an award-winning journalist with a decade of investigative experience. She's renowned for her fearless coverage of the Duterte administration as Rappler's Malacanang reporter. A magna cum laude graduate from Ateneo de Manila University, Pia has been recognized as one of the 10 outstanding young men and the outstanding women in nation's service. As a Marshall McLuhan Fellow and Stanford University Journalism Fellow, she's at the forefront of combating disinformation through engaged journalism. Today, she'll share insights on from social media to reforms, how citizen reporting is reshaping local governance, exploring how digital platforms turn viral reports into policy reforms, and bridge activism with institutional action. Let's welcome Ms. Pia Ranada. Pia, turn over to you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. And it's too bad that we couldn't do this in person, but I think the fact that the weather acted up is also a fitting context to our topic and why it's really, really important to promote inclusive governance and encourage citizens to actively participate in the way they're governed. And that's one of the topics that I want to share. And I was asked by Liveable Cities Philippines to share with you today. So I've prepared a presentation. I hope you can see it. Let me just... All right. Okay, there. So there, I really want to emphasize at the start of my presentation that Rappler is very keen to work with the people in the audience who I know are local government officials, academe, members of civil society groups when it comes to amplifying stories about livability, improving quality of life in Philippine cities in particular, because Rappler's biggest audience are Gen Z and millennials who very much care about quality of life and livability. Like, this is the generation, diba, that sees how life is in other cities and maybe have even traveled there. Diba, travel is so much easier for this generation. And we're very aware that we don't want to be nakakulong sa pwede na ito or hanggang dito na lang ba ang Pilipinas. So we really do have an audience, a community in Rappler who cares about livability and quality of life. So please, if you work in this field, as I know you all are, Rappler is very keen to collaborate, whether it's about amplifying best practices that you have in your city, you want more people to know about it, you want to showcase it, and we could definitely tap into our journalists to see if it's worth emulating and write about those best practices. It's something we really want to amplify. And we actually have a campaign in Rappler dedicated to livability, and it's called, it was piloted as Make Manila Livable, but I'll give updates in a while. We're actually expanding this to a nationwide campaign. So I'll begin without further ado. And I want to talk to you about this campaign, like really understand what it's about. Maybe it's still not very concrete to you, but in a nutshell, it is these three things. So the livability campaign of Rappler is really about journalism focused on livability, like making it top of mind for people. It's newsworthy. We've seen that a lot of our stories about garbage, for instance, flooding, disaster, open parks and spaces, commuting problems, diba, transportation, they actually do very, very well. They have a lot of views and traffic. People really care about this issue, which is why we thought of making a campaign in the first place, because we saw the demand for information and really an advocacy for this. So you can check out the Make Manila Livable page to see all of our stories. We've done everything from a documentary where our reporter biked 120 kilometers around Metro Manila to assess the quality of bike lanes, to an investigative on the garbage problem, interviews about flooding in Metro Manila. So too many to mention. I hope you can check it out so you can really see the full breadth of what we cover in terms of livability. Second thing is that the campaign is also about events that bring government and people together, kind of like this forum. We've had everything from mayor's governing for livability panel, and that we invited Mayor Benjamin Magalong actually was invited to that. We also had Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte, City Hataman from Isabela de Basilan. We've had fora, for instance, promoting bikers' rights. And we've had community chats, live chats about livability. And we've also, which I'll showcase later, town halls, kapihans with mayoral candidates to talk about how they're promoting livability. The third aspect of Make Manila Livable is about crowdsourcing and civic engagement when it comes to governance. So we've actively done some executions wherein we actively seek the input of citizens to talk about policies that their local governments are creating from the creation side pa lang. So things like partnering with local governments, with national government agencies, so that we can source feedback from citizens and they can use the feedback from citizens to form their policies, is something that Rappler does. We have created technology, generative AI technology, to crowdsource more effectively for our journalism, but also for local government. So if you wanted to tap journalists to ask your constituents what they think about the policy, we can do that with you because we've done it with other agencies, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. There. So just to give you a visualization of what this campaign has looked like for the past year, it's existed, or less than a year. We for instance, invite partners that we have in Make Manila Livable to our studio for interviews about issues like Pasig River rehabilitation, flooding, inclusive healthcare. So we feature their advocacies in Rappler. We've also done things where we collate feedback from the public and from our partners and actually submit them to the government for feedback. For instance, when President Marcos really wanted to talk about traffic problems in Metro Manila, if you recall, he had this big forum about traffic, but certain civil society groups were not invited to that. So we actually held our own kind of citizens forum with our partners and with the public to send through chat messages to Rappler, and we collated all the public feedback and send them to Malacanang. And you can see a photo here of a former DOTR USEC and also former PCO Secretary Cesar Chavez holding up our report, our collated public feedback report for consideration of Malacanang. We also invite officials. So you can see here Manila Congressman Joel Chua. We invited him to talk about his bill on creating heritage zones in Escolta and in Quiapo. So yun. So also Senator Legardo was there because she co-authored the bill in the Senate naman. So we also invited citizens, civil society groups who are part of this campaign to join the table with government officials and lawmakers so that, we can have this conversation. Hindi siya one-sided. Kailangan lahat ng sectors involved. So we do that. We really are keen on seeing media not just as a one-way street. Now we just put out the headlines. It's like passive communication. What we really want is for media to be a convener of all of these different stakeholders, all of these different voices, bringing them in one common plaza for everyone to be part of the discussion. So that's one of the roles we want to promote for Rappler. And then the fourth picture underneath here, you can see our civic engagement specialist, MJ Catequista, asking Quezon City residents what they think of an ordinance to make Tomas Morato Avenue closed on Sundays. So that ordinance actually made it. It's actually already ongoing. The Tomas Morato closed on Sundays to cars. And part of that effort was achieved through Rappler's AI-driven public consultation, which we did in partnership with Councilor Irene Belmonte and Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte. So yeah, just to show you, diba, we also have a partnership with Office of Civil Defense for our disaster communications project. We partnered with cyclists. We invited the HPG commander, who is in charge of all traffic-related violations, to speak at our bikers' rights forum, along with now Akbayan Representative Chel Jokno to talk about bikers' rights. And naging maganda yan kasi the HPG chief heard feedback from cyclists, how they're treated by policemen when they report crashes by vehicles, for instance, parang how to protect cyclists' rights better for both the police and also for LGU officials. And then another photo you can see here, just an example also of the impact we've done in this campaign. We did a accessibility audit. We basically visited every single train station in Metro Manila and assessed them based on how accessible they are for persons with disabilities. And we did this in partnership with persons with disability rights groups and commuters groups. And that investigative report actually led to the report being featured in the DOTR House and Senate budget hearings. So, and that also led to a meeting between the persons with disability rights groups and the train project contractors themselves, and also the train operators. So there were like 5 meetings that came from our report, which was very much citizen-driven. And we think the fact that it was citizen-driven was what led it to create impact the way it did. Kasi kung ako lang nagsulat, no, diba, without any input from anyone, it would not have had the gravitas of actually like quoting and really putting at the forefront the persons with disabilities who commute every day to work. And we centered their stories, and that's what I believe made that story truly impactful. There. So other things we do at Rappler, because we see this demand for understanding how local governments govern their lives. How, diba, kasi mayors are in charge of everything from, diba, yung sanitation, garbage, parks, and livability. So we really want to encourage community in Rappler, our readers, to talk about it, not just to read passively. So we have things like community chats where we invite anyone in our Rappler app to go to a chat room and talk about things that affect their daily lives based on a topic we decide with our partners, for instance, LGUs or civil society groups. So we had this chat about congestion fees, helping ease traffic in Philippine cities, because actually this came from Mayor Benjamin Magalong's own initiative, right? They were talking about congestion fee for Baguio City. And that was a really good chat. People really weighed in on the pros and cons of congestion fees and how they're applied abroad, what were the best practices in cities abroad. So yun, parang it's a different kind of journalism, a dialogue instead of one way, two-way street siya. And we think that this also empowers citizens to parang form opinions about how they're governed. Hindi yung we'll assume we have no power, therefore we won't speak up. At Rappler, we want to give citizens, our readers, power, and that's why we have chat rooms where they actually get to shape our coverage. They tell us what we should cover, what issues they have about a certain newsworthy piece or development, and we actually bridge their feedback to the people we interview. The government officials, the policymakers, the lawmakers, we bridge that gap. There. So those are just some examples. These are a sampling of the stories we've done under this campaign that aims to really highlight livability issues. And what we want to do, Sana, with the help of the audience here, what are some of the best practices of cities? Maybe you have a great program that you want to build up, you want to amplify. If Rappler finds this interesting and worth amplifying, then we would definitely love to cover that and maybe make more people know about it. So things like this, yung 1 billion fund ng DBM to build more parks and gardens. And then we interviewed mayors about, yung power play when it comes to transportation in Metro Manila. Diba? There's 17 mayors, there's MMDA. But then because of all of these power dynamics, how then do we best implement traffic rules, things like that, or even public transportation? How do we make it faster so that we all know what happened to the Makati subway, right? So yung mga things like that. There. Other things we do, I'm just showing you some photos from how we did the AI-powered public consultation for Quezon City. So the first thing was we pitched to Mayor Joy Belmonte, to Councilor Irene Belmonte, because see, Councilor Belmonte was the one who wanted to author an ordinance closing Tomas Morato from cars every Sunday. So we got the concept from her. We asked her, what would you want to ask your citizens? Lalo na those living around Tomas Morato Avenue. So after that consultation with her, we used our generative AI platform. We fed it questions that Councilor Irene wanted to ask citizens, and that AI platform basically asked those questions to all participants, and based on the feedback from participants, asked follow-up questions. Kasi nga generative AI siya, so it's able to understand what's being asked of it and really analyze all of the responses from respondents right away. Like in a second, it is able to identify, oh, majority of respondents think this is the best way to implement car-free Tomas Morato. So may mga ganun siya. It is able to analyze faster than maybe just a human mind. But human pa rin yung prompts, or it's prompt engineering. The questions come from the policymakers. And it's still basically moderated by journalists. So this generative AI platform was deployed both online but also in an in-person setting, lalo na for citizens who may not be techie. And we Rappler deployed civic engagement volunteers to ask the people in person to type in their answers, ganyan. So we were able to get enough responses that we were able to present the recommendations of citizens for this ordinance during a council session of Quezon City. And those inputs went into the final form of the ordinance. And we were able to change actually some provisions there because nga people said, oh, can it be in the morning na muna? Diba? Like, let's try first few months sa morning muna, and then pag nag-take off siya, yun, pwedeng expand. So we got those kinds of concerns from citizens. We were able to surface those concerns using generative AI, and in the process, also write about it. So, syempre, the collaboration also entails media coverage of the ordinance. So we also think this helped spread the word about this ordinance, and it also helps. I believe it's valuable to local governments to be able to see like their ordinance being talked about in public, na may feedback rin from our readers, and they actually get media mileage also from the collaboration. There. So, I also want to talk about a little bit about what we did during elections, because we really kicked this campaign into action during the midterm elections, which of course included the election of mayors and other local officials. So we believe that local elections is prime time for civic engagement on livability, and this is how we made the most of it. We targeted 4 major urban areas in Luzon. Luzon kasi we don't have as much funding as we want, so of course we need to do it in our backyard para less resources on our end kasi pilot pa lang naman. So we held community chats on the Rappler app for each city that we targeted. Weeks after the chat, we then held election town halls, or what we call kapihans, kasi town hall medyo masyadong NGO speak, like it maybe turn off some people, but if you talk about kapihan, diba, may coffee, mas interesting siya. So we partnered actually with local cafes, and we provided coffee. It was a very nice kind of lifestyle event. And we did it in the city itself, and we invited candidates for mayor, vice mayor, governor, vice governor, district rep. After that, we of course published articles and videos from the chat. So what people said, we asked kasi people in the chat, what would you want us to ask your mayoral candidates when we go to your city next week? So parang it's really citizen-led town hall na hindi siya, because I think as a journalist, ito yung important for Bulacan. What we wanted was to ask people in Bulacan what they wanted me to ask the mayoral candidates. So ganun siya. It's very consultative. And then, of course, the way the LGU officials, the candidates answered, we storified them. We made video excerpts, TikTok videos, Instagram reels, kasi nga our audience is Gen Z and millennials. And we basically were able to amplify the concerns of citizens. The most common was traffic, by the way. And I believe healthcare was also a major issue. And also showed how candidates address them for full transparency. And also to show people, sino ba yung mga candidates who have the answers that you think are correct? That, gusto mo, you can compare the answers of one candidate to another. We also mobilized civic engagement volunteers nationwide to report on livability issues like transportation, flooding, healthcare. We deployed these volunteers to ask to mga markets, to do man on the street interviews about what, for example, Ilonggos think the next Iloilo mayor should address. Thus, we publish talaga the vertical videos. You can actually see them on Rappler. Too bad it's a little bit tricky to share in Zoom, but we have videos that I can show screenshots of. So just to give you an idea, no, ito yung how our community chats look like. These are chats we did ahead of the town halls where we asked people what we should ask. And alam mo, yung lumabas talaga prime water. So I'm sorry to say that's how we actually got started on our prime water coverage. It's because people kept complaining about them in our community chats. Yeah, so and if you want to also see the chat room itself, feel free to scan this QR code because it will lead you straight to the public chat room where we have livability conversations. It's called the Liveable Cities Public Chat Room. Onti na lang, it's already this organization's name. But I really think it's a really good name kasi diba, it encapsulates everything we want. We want livable cities. So there. These are also images from the kapihans we had. As you can see in Marikina, if you know Rustic Mornings, we had it there. So it was great. We also partnered with Escolta First United Building. The very wonderful community there hosted us in their co-working space where we had the Manila mayoral candidates. And then we also had Abeng Remulla, who is now the governor of Cavite, in our Cavite, Make Cavite Livable kapihan. And then, of course, Bulacan Governor Daniel Fernando and his vice governor. And this is what the stories that emanated from all of those kapihans. I wish I could show you the videos where transportation was like the main topic. We basically stitched together all of the transportation related feedback from people and from the candidates themselves in one video. Yan siya. What are the wins that arose from our civic engagement efforts on livability? Number one, we were able to amplify Filipinos' grievances against prime water service enough to make an impact. After our kapihan with the Bulacan governor, who was one of the most sobrang pointed ng kanyang criticism sa prime water. And after that, it led to, you can see 2 days later, President Marcos himself orders a probe into Villar's prime water amid mounting consumer complaints. So we think, and then we have feedback from our community saying that, oh, what we did really shook Bulacanos into action and shown the spotlight on Bulacan and other provinces where prime water failures were being felt talaga by citizens. So also, it led to our highest election day traffic in our history as a Rappler. Like we never had such a high election day traffic. And we really think this is because our coverage became LGU, very local. Kumbaga, what we did, we decided very early on that this mid-year elections, while we would still write stories about the senatorial race and the House race, we really mobilized for local elections. And we think that that really paid off because it goes to show people care about their local issues just as much or maybe even more than national issues. Kasi it's what's immediate, di ba? Yan. So we trained what volunteers called movers to do community-driven stories about livability in their cities during election period. So we had, as you can see, diba, Mandali yung citizens, in-interview sila ng mga volunteers namin, one by one, like from all walks of life, from all ages. And they really, really put at the forefront citizens' issues, not just what our leaders are saying, but what is felt on the ground by ordinary citizens. Yan. With support from our partners like the Friedrich Naumann Foundation and our Facts for Speech partners, we trained these movers actually a year before elections pa. So talagang we went around the country, we targeted Iloilo, Batangas, and Iligan, so one city per region kasi yun yung kaya ng budget namin. And we trained them to do civic engagement journalism and community journalism to really tell them ano ba yung problem sa Iloilo or Batangas that you think deserves national coverage. And they really delivered. Based on our training, we actually had the reporters go to the roadshow, hold the workshops. We had fact-checking workshops. We had video, how to make a good TikTok video. How do you make a TikTok video viral when it's about livability? So we had all those workshops a year before elections, such that on election season, they were ready to amplify these stories from their communities. And that really helped our coverage as well. And that helped bring to the fore these issues that maybe otherwise would not have been talked about. Yun. So what to expect in the coming months? Because our newsroom was so happy with Make Manila Livable, we want to make this nationwide. So we're gonna roll out a more nationwide scope for this campaign. Another major change in Rappler is that because livability became a big issue, we have now created an editorial cluster just devoted on livability. And just to give you a briefing, when we say editorial cluster, ito yung, kasi Rappler does not operate on beat reporting. We don't like, Malacanang beat reporter, Senate beat reporter. We have reporters assigned to those beats, but we cover things based on issues. And these issues are manifested through the editorial clusters. So for instance, we have a governance cluster, we have a justice and crime cluster, and now we have a brand new livable cities cluster because now we think this is so important. Yeah, and so if you want to collaborate with us because you're very much aligned with this livability advocacy, right? There are many ways to collaborate. So the number one thing is simply send me an email if you think there's a project or an activity that you think is super aligned with this. You can also support the engagement, the civic engagement training of our movers, the people, the young people all over the country who we tap to report on livability issues. You can do this by sponsoring these programs or giving a grant for this program, which something that FNF, for instance, enabled us to do. You can also join Rappler Plus, which is our premium membership program, and this funds our journalism, and you can access it through that link. If your organization is super aligned with what we're doing, you can also be a Rappler Plus institutional member, and I'll explain a little bit about that. You can also simply provide expertise on livability and urban issues. We'll invite you to events like things like our kapihans. We plan to have them in 2 more areas this year, but this time inviting the newly elected local government officials. And we would love for experts to also speak on things like urban planning or maybe flood management, etc. And the simplest thing is really to download the Rappler app and be part of our Livable Cities community, because that's a really a shortcut way to contact us, to keep us in your feed, be able to talk to us regularly, tell us about anything brewing in your part of the world. So yeah, you can join Livable Cities chat room and you'll find all of our reporters. Our Livable Cities cluster is assigned to that chat room. So if you want to pitch a story, you want to tell us about an issue brewing in your city, you can tag our reporters and you can tag me in that chat room. Just a little bit about Rappler Plus. It's our premium membership program. It gets you exclusive newsletters like Sui Generis by Marites Vitug. You get first access to our big investigative stories and documentaries, including those about livability. And there are many coming up. Prime Water is just the tip of the iceberg, right? Invitations to exclusive briefings with experts, sources, Rappler journalists, and newsmakers. We plan to do exclusive briefings on livability as well. Newsroom visits if you want to, for example, take your members to a field trip to Rappler Newsroom, we would love to host you as a Rappler Plus member. And if you want to organize an online briefing, to collaborate on an online briefing like this one with Rappler, with our journalists, then it's also something we can do together. Yan. So that's it. I'm hoping that sparked some interest in what Rappler is doing. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to your questions later on.
Thank you, Pia. We all strive to make our cities more livable. And what you shared highlights how journalism can help bring citizens into important local conversations. It's good to see how tools like community chats and election forums are being used to surface real issues and get responses from our leaders. So our next speaker is a business development director at Globe Telecom. A 24-year veteran of the company, he has progressed from engineering roles to leadership positions in project management, solution sales, and now digital transformation. As a certified project management professional with advanced degrees from UP Diliman and AIM, he has spearheaded Globe's B2B ICT portfolio, delivering 200% pipeline growth and pioneering data-driven solutions. His expertise in cybersecurity and intelligent infrastructure has helped businesses and government agencies modernize operations. Today, he will share his insights on Tech for Trust, building accountable governance through connectivity, cloud, and cybersecurity, and demonstrate how technology can bridge transparency gaps and enable data-driven decision-making. Let's all welcome Mr. Karlmarx Rubia. Carl, over to you.
Yep. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So let me share my screen first. Right. Okay. Can everybody see my screen now? Right. So yeah, so good afternoon. No? So it's an honor for me to be the third Livable Cities Lab for 2025. Too bad that we cannot meet in person, no? So unfortunately. So I'm excited actually I'm excited to meet you in person. But nevertheless, hope everyone is safe right now in their homes. And we'll do my best to have this as informative as possible, no, to be able to help you. Okay. So basically, right now, no, so the topic right now really resonates, no, and aligned with the Globe Business Vision, especially this year's theme, no, the sustain plus ability, enabling cities for the future, no. So today we're going to dive into how well we can unleash tech for trust, no. So basically it significantly shows how technology can build accountable, responsible, and governance, which is fundamental to powering truly livable cities, as mentioned earlier. No, so basically, this presentation would aim to provide a practical framework, no, for us to use as a basis, no, for Philippine local government units or LGUs on digital governance. So my hope that it will also seamlessly connect with the insights that will be that's going to be presented, the one that was presented earlier by Ms. Pia Ranada on empowering citizen engagement, and later on to be presented by Mayor Magalong on intelligent urban grants, and Dr. Estanislao on institutionalizing reforms. Right. So later on you'll see how technology serves as an engine, no, a crucial enabler for all of these vital aspect in terms of good governance. Right. So at Globe Business, we have a shared vision. No? Our shared vision aligns perfectly with the very spirit of this event. No, so we envision that a Philippines wherein LGUs isn't just an administrative body, because we all know that so LGU is there to manage, but it goes beyond that. But it becomes a true beacon, no? So a beacon of efficiency, transparency, and citizen empowerment. So this vision goes beyond just administration, right? So it is about fostering a truly livable and sustainable community now, wherein LGU becomes transparent, efficient, and responsive. Now, communities thrive, of course, services improve, the trust grows, and people live better lives. No, so there will be more. Of course, if there's trust, there will be more participation from the constituents. Now, indeed, good governance is a powerful engine that powers livable cities, creating environments where communities can truly flourish and where sustain and ability becomes a tangible reality. However, in order for us to be able to achieve this, there comes a lot of challenges, no? So especially right now in our rapidly evolving world, no? So people becomes more demanding, right? So we live in an unprecedented change wherein, nothing is constant but change, right? So constituent needs, expectations, or expects more from the government, right? Their expectations are no longer static, for example. So they are constantly evolving, more demanding, right? For everything to be immediate, done with a lot of urgency. And then, of course, more transparency, more accessibility, right? So the critical question now lies in is this: how do LGUs meet the evolving needs and expectation of their constituents to build more resilient, inclusive, and future-ready cities, di ba? So bridging this gap, turning these challenges into a real solution, requires foresight, strategic planning, and of course, crucially, being able to have the right tools, partnership, and truly lead the shift towards more inclusive, resilient, and future-ready cities. Now, this is where Tech for Trust comes in. No? So we are embracing technology, all right, as the powerful enabler to bridge the gap and establish a digital a strong digital foundation. Right. So for Tech for Trust, no. So these are the so fundamentally these are the three outcomes, no. So we have, for example, first we have enhanced accountability and transparency. So imagine you having digital audit trail. So very critical yun, di ba? For having accountability and transparency. Public access to information, of course, real-time performance monitoring, and clear government processes. So with this, these are the things that are essential to be able for us to build that public trust, right? And then second, improve responsiveness. So technology enables, of course, significantly faster processing, for example, seamless communication, and then data-driven decision making for us to be more proactive. And finally, deeper citizen engagement. No, so I like what Miss Pia Ranada mentioned earlier. No, the highlighting the citizen engagement, having this online feedback forms, empowering citizens to be to be more participative because they have that engine, they have the facility, they have the channel to be able to participate anytime, anywhere they are. So for Tech for Trust, no, to be able to achieve this, to be able to achieve these benefits, I would like to discuss the three main pillars. So number one, the robust connectivity, agile cloud solution, and of course, comprehensive cybersecurity. Now, so robust connectivity. So as you know, right now, connectivity in various forms, whether it's wired, wireless, wireline, it's the very foundation of any transformation initiatives, no? Because as you are aware, Philippines is a geographic, di ba? We are an archipelago. So it's really challenging to be able to connect, right? Those so we have to bridge those geographic gaps, as we say. Now, to be able to bridge that, we have to ensure that, we have the right infrastructure in place to be able to connect even the remote communities to ensure that they will have access to digital services. Now, it enables effective, for example, e-governance, real-time communication between LGU, right? Which is some of them or most are not yet that connected. They are still fragmented. And with citizens and seamless data exchange, so which is very important. So I like what was mentioned earlier, no, in Baliwag, the model that they did where and they have already exhibited how it is to have that seamless data exchange among various departments, which is very, very important, no, in providing services to the constituents, right? Now, this robust backbone is precisely what empowers that continuous, seamless data flow vital for intelligent and resilient cities, right? So much like, for example, Baguio or even in Baliwag, no? So without that reliable connectivity, digital transformation will not happen, right? So once you establish the digital, that robust connectivity, now is the time for us to have because there's a need for us to be agile and scalable at the end of the day because we need to make sure that we manage the cost, right? And that's what cloud solution would bring, no? They will offer accessible data management, power a multiple of or multitude of practical LGU applications, no? Making it accessible anytime, anywhere, no? And as needed. Now, think about, for example, online permitting, licensing systems, digital payment methods, citizen feedback and complaint systems, all of those, no? Those are powered by, for example, by agile cloud solutions. Now, these solutions streamline services, for example, would foster transparency, significantly contribute to the governance excellence, no, by ensuring that government processes are more, kumbaga, are being done more efficiently and universally accessible to everyone, right? Because those are the two key elements. Those are the two key important things to be considered, no? So now, are essential. For example, in Globe, our essential cloud solutions for LGU would include, for example, local data centers, flexible cloud hosting services, and fully managed cloud services to ensure that data is always available and protected. And then the third component would be, of course, the comprehensive cybersecurity. Because right now, in an increasingly digital world that we have, cybersecurity is not just, it's no longer an option. It's part of the hygiene. When I say hygiene, it is necessary, right? So it is not just about protecting the data. It's also about safeguarding the public trust. Because as we all know, we have data, and those are sensitive information that are owned by our citizens that needs to be protected, right? So in Globe, we ensure that all of those are being protected, for purposes of course, service continuity. If ever there are incident, we arrest them immediately. Or, of course, we don't wait for an incident. We do proactive monitoring, right? So why is this critical? Because LGU face, like any other company would face common threats, right? From ransomware, uh, phishing, smishing, all types of attacks, right? Because as the technology advances, so as the perpetrators, they become more advanced as well, right? So basically, when these attacks happens, this can cripple services, right? So expose a lot of sensitive citizen information, and a lot is definitely at stake, right? So thus, proactive and comprehensive cybersecurity is essential, right? So it has to be done at every layer, at every step of the way. Now, as you can see here in this presentation, this shows Globe's commitment, these are the pillars, of course, supported by Globe's relentless, continuous investment of its own infrastructure. As I keep on stressing earlier, infrastructure is key, right? Globe is not just a provider, but we are deeply committed to nation building. So we constantly advance our network expansion, our backbone, as you can see here, both in domestic and international, to be able to support the growing needs of our citizens, especially for example, for capacity. So this is an extensive and robust infrastructure that truly enables, for example, the AI journey and the broader digital transformation of our LGU. So so we ensure that these systems are built and are resilient, so that and of course high speed to be able to support the needs of our, of course, of our customers. Now, understanding the robust infrastructure and the core offerings, let us look into how LGUs can adapt to the different models. So we have different models because we recognize that each LGU will have a unique needs. It's not a one size fits all thing, right? So we fully recognize the fact, and that's why we offer flexible, for example, connectivity model, different models, and different cloud integration models to suit the needs of our LGU. Now, whether the LGU is primarily a traditional one that really relies heavily on on-prem connectivity and infrastructure, or moving towards hybrid approach, or somebody who has full comprehensive cloud integration. So Globe Business has the solution, and we have the expert to be able to support those requirements. We are here to help you co-develop, design, right, the most efficient solution, the most efficient network, okay, that will answer, right, your gaps, your needs, and your transformation agenda. So moving further, so this slide shows the comprehensive breadth and depth of Globe business ecosystem. So we call this ecosystem. So basically, these are the comprehensive ecosystem of solutions that we have. So from, as you can see, from connectivity, like for example, from direct internet, broadband, cellular, and then on top of this, we have the productivity and application services, and then towards the infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, and of course, our data and analytics. And then all of this can be end-to-end managed end-to-end, And we ensure that cybersecurity is embedded across different layers of the solution to make sure that it is protected. So the data is properly protected end to end. No? So basically, this end-to-end approach means that LGU have a single trusted partner in, of course, in Globe, right? So pushing for the digital governance needs and of course the digital transformation agenda. No? So we are here to simplify the complex technology, somehow what we perceive to be the complex technology adoption. So we are here to help. Now, moving on, so our strength lies not only on our technology, no, so but significantly in an extensive ecosystem. So we call this partnerships, partner ecosystem. So through strategic partnership with, for example, Globe's diverse portfolio of companies and robust collaboration with globally recognized technology partners such as Google, AWS, Microsoft, and the likes. No, we are able to. This allows us, no, to provide unparalleled data-driven, for example, leveraging on our extensive data collection of data as well. So right, so we are able to provide you the full suite of solution that we have. So it's really about bringing together the best technologies, integrating them to come up with the best solution that will fit the LGU's needs. Now, so with this understanding of how Globe can help, right, and come up with a comprehensive solution, I encourage you to, yeah, scan this QR code so that we would be able to connect, right, to connect with our Globe business representatives to discuss how we can, tailor the powerful solutions that we have specifically to the needs of our LGU. Now, so let's collaborate closely. I encourage everyone also, let's talk, let's discuss, let's collaborate to be able to help each and every LGUs here, right, to be able to transform and come up with an efficient, transparent, and of course, empowered government. So ultimately, our mission goes beyond technology, as I've said, no. Just as Liveable Cities Lab brings together leaders from government, business, academia, and civil society to collaboratively turn governance challenges into real actionable solutions, Globe Business is deeply committed to collaboratively partner with LGUs. Now, we truly believe that authentic transformation goes far beyond just providing technology. It's really about working hand in hand, collaboratively, and understanding what are the unique contexts, what are the needs, what are the specific pain points that we're trying to address. So those are the usual questions that we need to pose before we start with any transformation initiative. No? So together we can build a digitally empowered Philippines and co-create. So co-creation is very important. No? A truly livable, sustainable city for generation to come. Now, your courage to transform, coupled with our expertise, can unlock a lot of incredible potential. So once again, thank you very much for your time and attention. And again, good afternoon, and looking forward for your questions later on during the panel.
Thank you, Carl. What you just showed shows us how good governance is strengthened by digital tools, transparency, and citizen participation. Globe support highlights how the private sector can help make government more efficient, responsive, and accessible. So, may we move on to our fourth speaker? We are honored to welcome a true guru of governance, Dr. Jesus Estanislao, founding chairman of the Institute for Solidarity in Asia, or ISA, a summa cum laude graduate with a Harvard PhD in economics. He has served as Philippine Finance Secretary, NEDA Director General, and President of the University of Asia and the Pacific. A recipient of the Philippine Legion of Honor and Management Man of the Year Award, he pioneered the performance governance system framework that has transformed over 100 local governments. Through ISA and other institutions he founded, he continues to champion metrics-driven governance reforms nationwide. Today, he will share his insights on governance excellence, institutionalizing reforms for livable cities, demonstrating how the PGS framework builds resilient, trustworthy local governments. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Jesus Estanislao. Dr. Jess?
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for that introduction. Yes, we've been working in the field of public governance as applied to national government agencies and local government units for the past 25 years. And we have shown that, in fact, governance can work in the Philippines. Good governance does work in the Philippines. Good governance does deliver transformative outcomes. We have elevated, for example, 4 LGUs to the Harvard Palladium Connected Collaborative. These are the cities of Balanga, Iloilo, San Fernando, Pampanga, and San Fernando, La Union. And we have worked with a number of cities. We've seen transformation. And the biggest challenge that we have is how to sustain all of this. Because our program follows 4 different stages. You get initiated, eventually you get institutionalized, and in the process you begin reforming the processes in City Hall. You begin improving the standards of service to the citizenry, and then eventually you deliver transformative outcomes. Having said all of that, what I would like to discuss this afternoon would be some insights on how to institutionalize governance and to keep going in one's transformation journey, whether you're a city, whether you're a corporation, or you are a national government agency. And one thing which we found out is that after you get institutionalized, you become an element of good governance. There is a need to continue to instill a governance culture in the people that work within City Hall, within the institution, which is a public sector institution or private sector corporation. And that means having to cascade the governance values. And what we found out is that over the past several years, the governance values of magka-Diyos, magkatao, magkakalikasan, and magkabansa are very appropriate, not only for city halls, but also for national government agencies. How do you give life and substance to these values in everyday work that is being done at City Hall? And that means, therefore, bringing this down to the level of the individuals who works in City Hall. That's not enough. There is also need to transmit these values to the families of the people who work within City Hall, so that their families become the laboratories for these 4 core national values. And eventually, we encourage our LGUs to work with the public school system, so in fact, these core values are transmitted to all the children who go to our public schools. So what is important is that, as we say in governance, all good governance starts from good values. So when we begin thinking of sustaining and institutionalizing governance, you really have to insist on the 4 core values, which also build, by the way, the Philippine nation, the Philippines 2046, as we call it. So that's the first item that we have, getting down to individuals, and then through individuals to their respective families, and then through the institution, City Hall, working with the public school district to all of the children who study within the community. That's the first item that I wanted to emphasize, and we're beginning to do it. The results are very stimulating, very important for the long term. Second, in order to institutionalize governance, it is important that the working teams, which have been essential in delivering the transformative outcomes for City Hall, continue to work as collaborative teams. But this time, they focus on three areas, not just on delivering performance targets following strategic priorities for City Hall. This time, they emphasize on efficiency, cleanliness, functionality of team premises. This strengthens the teamwork and the collaboration. And in this regard, they simply follow the 5S system that we have adopted from the Japanese. You sort, you set in order, you shine, you standardize, and you sustain. And done every week with inspections, every week with awards every month, and so on. It transforms office premises within City Hall. Now, we go beyond office premises of teams. We get a collaboration between all of the teams within City Hall so that, in fact, the entire City Hall is functional, is clean, is green, and is very efficient in serving the public constituency, especially those who come to transact business in City Hall. In other words, governance means modernity. Governance means efficiency. Governance means quality service. And to sustain governance, this has to be done by the premises of City Hall, not only by the people who work there, but above all, the premises within which they work should be as conducive to efficiency and productivity and public service as possible. Then go beyond that, because people have to go beyond City Hall. And what we have found out is that very important would be the immediate neighborhood where the City Hall is located. Spruce it up, clean it up. And of course, this would be led by the employees and officers of City Hall. But now they begin reaching out to the community. Can we work things together? Can we spruce the environment? Can we clean up? Can we make sure that, in fact, garbage is collected? Can we spruce up this public park? In this way, the City Hall area becomes a model for the rest of the community to follow. We talk about clean and green. We start right there where City Hall is, in the immediate neighborhood. And the important thing about this is that the collaborative endeavor that people are talking about gets real flesh, gets real substance, and gets to, in fact, produce results. So that's teamwork, which its effects on efficiency, cleanliness, functionality, and even the improvement of the immediate area where City Hall is. The last is what we call as the social impact project that reaches out to the entire city, the entire town, all of the sets of barangays having ESG projects. Now, what is done in the immediate premises around City Hall is transmitted into all of the barangays that constitute the city or the town. The environment is taken care of. And the environment means garbage is collected, water is provided, electricity is provided, internet connectivity is provided. In other words, to make it as livable as possible and as pleasant as possible. So clean streets, walkable sidewalks. We're working, for example, with the city of Baguio, and one of the things that they're going to put up would be walkable sidewalks that would be friendly for seniors to walk and walk instead of take a cab or take a car or take a jeepney or take a public transportation. So second would be the S part of the barangay or the local community. And this is where the socioeconomic services become very important. Education, job training, health and safety, recreation, public parks, brought down to the level of every local barangay. And that gives a wonderful face to what good governance really is. It's not just something technical. It's not just collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. It means production of outcomes that the ordinary citizens can feel, can see, can benefit from. And by the way, these outcomes, they're asked to contribute so that, in fact, all of these socioeconomic services involve the participation and the contribution of the ordinary citizen. Unless, of course, would be the governance framework, which is that of eliminating corruption. But more than eliminating corruption, it is introducing transparency in all transactions, both private and public, within the local community. Naga City experimented this many years ago with Jesse Robredo. It's being continued by Lenny, and it's amazing what they're doing. Just transparent services, public information, getting people involved, getting people to report and to make observations, to give suggestions, and then to get involved in the provision of actual public services. That is where the governance works comes in. Now, if these things are sustained, with the cascading of values, with the teamwork that reaches out to the local community, and with the ESG being undertaken at every barangay level, then you will have transformed communities, transformed barangays, transformed cities, cities that can keep going and going from one level of performance to another until we reach Dream Philippines with 2046. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Dr. Jess. It was made clear to us that good governance isn't just about having programs, it's about values, systems, and making sure the work continues beyond one term. It also reminds us how important it is to make sure that the work continues beyond one term. And it's also good that you mentioned that we need walkable streets, or at least for senior citizens like me, we need good sidewalks to walk on. May I just remind everyone to please, if you have any questions, to post it or use the Q&A box in Zoom or comment section of Facebook Live so we can answer them during the panel discussion later. For our last speaker, we are truly honored to welcome Mayor Benji Magalong of Baguio City, who recently came back from Ireland, being a recent recipient of the Bloomberg Philanthropies Award for Global Tobacco Control, recognizing Baguio as the most among the world's 6 leading cities in tobacco harm prevention. He is a retired police general and magna cum laude graduate of the Philippine Military Academy. Mayor Magalong brings 38 years of distinguished law enforcement experience to urban governance as Baguio's 3-term mayor. He has transformed crisis-tested leadership into innovative governance, pioneering smart city initiatives, transparent pandemic response, and sustainable urban planning. His 15-point agenda has made Baguio a national model for data-driven governance, environmental protection, and now global public health excellence. The Honorable Mayor will be presenting Intelligent and Resilient Baguio's Blueprint for Sustainable Urban Governance, demonstrating how transparency, technology, citizen engagement, and good governance can create livable, award-winning cities. Agyamanak, Mayor Benji, for joining us. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Yenny. Let me first acknowledge and express my greetings to Sir Jess, Sir Bill, Miss Pia, Mr. Karlmarx, and all the participants from the private and public institutions. Good afternoon, everyone, and especially to our partners in governance and fellow advocates of livable cities. So we gather today in a challenging moment when the future of Philippine cities depends not only on the structures we build, but on the systems we sustain, the values we uphold, and the choices that we make. So it's an honor to share with you our insights, especially on the city of Baguio, but on an inconvenient truth that we are now experiencing in our city, that when urban growth is left unchecked and unexamined, it can lead us down to a path of decline and eventually to urban decay. But I will not dwell too much on that topic. Instead, I offer a different story, one of foresight, regeneration, and resilience. So this afternoon, I will walk you through how Baguio is deliberately shaping a different future, guided by our vision of Baguio 2043, a livable, inclusive, and creative city. A future built on good governance, empowered by innovations such as our digital twin, our community-based monitoring system, robust indicator frameworks, including our livability, inclusivity, and creativity indexes, along with our newly developed Quality of Life Index. These tools are not just technical upgrades, but are part of a bigger transformation because we believe that governance is not only about policy making, but about meaning making, measuring what matters and acting on what we know. To understand the urgency behind our planning, we must first recognize a principle that has quietly shaped the trajectory of not just the city of Baguio, but also other cities in our country: the law of diminishing returns. In simple terms, it tells us that beyond a certain point, each additional input, whether it be land use, infrastructure, or investment, yields progressively smaller benefits. In Philippine cities like Baguio, this principle has manifested in visible and at times painful ways. Over the years, we have seen the overutilization of our limited land. We only have about 57.51 square kilometers, straining our urban footprint in a city that is landlocked and bounded by mountains and pine forests. As pollution or population pressure grew, from what was described by Daniel Burnham as a maximum of 25,000 residents to a 2025 projected population of 389 or 390,000. So did the demand for infrastructure, including roads, drainages, utilities of which are entering the state of infrastructure fatigue. Meanwhile, as Baguio is considered a prime destination, being the summer capital of this country and a magnet for in-migration, real estate pressures is driving up housing costs, pushing informal settlements to areas that are either protected or identified as hazard-prone, distorting the balance between economic opportunity and livability. Ironically, this decline has emerged as Baguio registers economic strength with a per capita gross city domestic product of 455 pesos or 455,000 pesos per person, which was exceptionally high and second to Makati City, which is the highest in the country in 2023. Our growth has been real but uneven and in many ways unsustainable, admittedly. This paradox is precisely why we have to confront the limits of traditional urban growth models and shift towards a more intelligent, inclusive, and data-driven approach, one that generates or regenerates rather than depletes. And this is how the law of diminishing returns accelerates urban decay, when demand on a city's systems exceeds their ability to cope. In 2019, the National Economic Development Authority, now DepDev, had commissioned an urban carrying capacity study for the city, and its findings were sobering and at the same time concerning and disturbing. Several critical sectors have already surpassed their thresholds values long before the study was completed. I would like to inform you as well that carrying capacity study has covered several perspectives. One, land for development. We also have solid waste management, liquid waste management, green cover, forest cover, including water supply and our road network. The city exceeded its road area capacity as early as 1988. Solid waste generation has been increasing since 1994, and liquid management has reached its threshold as early as 2007. We reached the limits for open spaces in 2008, land for development in 2010, and lost significant forest cover in 2002, followed by the decline in green cover by 2016. In 2022, our water supply was found to have exceeded its sustainable threshold, or I believe that is 2002. These are not just numbers. They represent cracks in the city's foundation, warning signs that demand more than reactive measures. Carrying capacity studies are essential. They provide empirical data as basis for critical decision making, and they set the baselines and inform the targets we must embed in our development and land use planning processes. With this, we risk building blindly, ignoring the thresholds that define the line between sustainable growth and irreversible decline. In response to these pressing challenges, Baguio chose not to retreat, but to reimagine, re-engineer, and innovate. We recognize that reversing the trajectory of urban decay requires more than policies. It requires a collective vision, a shared blueprint shaped not just by leaders, but its people who live, work, and build their futures in the city. And this is how Baguio 23 or 2043 was born. More than just a government initiative, Vision 2043 was co-created with a broad, multi-stakeholders process, bringing together voices from our barangay, city officials, civil society organizations, and advocacy groups. Most importantly, it was open to the public through social media consultations and citizen voting, allowing every resident to take part in shaping the future of our city. The result is not simply a statement of ambition, it is a deliberate rejection of decline. Baguio 2043 is the antithesis of urban decay. It is our collective resolve to emerge as a livable, inclusive, and creative city. This vision reframes how we define progress not by the pace of construction or the size of our GDP, but the quality of life we create, the equity we uphold, and the creativity we foster as a mountain city rooted in heritage, nature, and community. But a vision, no matter how inclusive or inspiring, must be backed up by systems that turn vision into action and intentions or ambition into measurable progress. So to guide the realization of Baguio 2043, we have developed a set of urban indexes that allow us to track where we are going, and how far we have gone. These include the Liveability Index, Creativity Index, and Inclusivity Index, each designed to reflect the specific dimensions of our city's vision. The Livability Index helps us measure quality of life across 10 critical indicators and 49 sub-indicators such as health, food security, economic opportunities, public safety, accessibility, mobility, essential enterprises, risk management, civic spaces, and water. Each of our 128 barangays had been measured, providing a granular community-level understanding of strengths and gaps. These results are no longer static. They now inform city and barangay level development programs and projects, ensuring that investments are responsible, equitable, and targeted to real needs. The Livability Index is powered by our digital twin, a virtual model of the city that integrates spatial, environmental, and socioeconomic data to support dynamic planning and real-time decision-making. And for the information of everyone, just would like to inform you that out of the 128 barangays, only one barangay, based on our baseline data, is livable. 2 have declining livability, 41 have modest livability, and 81 or 84 have complied with the minimum requirements of livability. The inclusivity index, on the other hand, helps ensure that no one is left behind. It measures access to quality health services and a healthy environment, economic opportunities, quality education, and citizen empowerment. With 27 specific indicators, it gives us a clear lens who is striving and who needs more support. To track the progress effectively, Baguio utilizes the Community-Based Monitoring System, or CBMS, which provides disaggregated grassroots-level data critical to inclusive planning. Our commitment to openness and inclusivity has also earned Baguio global recognition through its selection to the Open Government Partnership Local Program. This affirms our commitment and dedication to participatory governance, transparency, accountability, and co-creation of solutions with our residents. The Creativity Index highlights Baguio's identity as a UNESCO-recognized creative city, for its crafts and folk arts and reflects our commitment to innovation and imagination as drivers of sustainable development. It is composed of 24 indicators, structured around three core pillars: urban rejuvenation and placemaking, economic development, and cultural and social authenticity. These indicators assess how creativity is embedded not only in our cultural life, but also in our physical spaces, economic systems, and social identity. The index also incorporates smart city integration across 6 development sectors: economic, social, infrastructure, environmental, and climate resilience. This allows us to align our creative vision with practical governance, ensuring that design, culture, and innovation actively shape the systems that support everyday life. But our vision, no matter how bold, must be matched with strategy because a plan sets the roadmap, but strategy aims for the win. To bring 2043 to life, we have identified 7 strategic commitments for a future-ready Baguio. These are actionable pillars that translate our vision into focused, measurable, and sustained transformation. A city that listens and leads. We commit to a governance culture rooted in participation, transparency, and accountability, where decisions are co-created, data-informed, and inclusive of diverse voices from barangay halls to digital platforms. Number 2, a livable city for all. We will ensure access to quality housing, health, education, mobility, and public spaces because livability is not a luxury, but a right that every Baguio resident should enjoy. Number 3, a green, resilient, and water-secure city. We are restoring our ecosystems, protecting our watersheds, and investing in a climate-resilient infrastructure, securing the city's future in the face of environmental challenges. Number 4, a sustainable and circular economy. Our economic strategy embraces sustainability, moving towards regenerative practices, efficient resource, and waste-to-value solutions that reduce pressure on our land and environment. We are now pursuing a program which we call the Waste to Resources, wherein we're treating waste, not a waste, but treating waste as a resource. That's the reason why we're now pursuing, in collaboration with the United Nations Development Program, a comprehensive circular economy program. Fair and secure land ownership. We aim to resolve long-standing land tenure issues and protect indigenous land rights, ensuring that ownership is just and that development happens within a framework of legal clarity and equity. Number 6, innovation, jobs, and opportunities for all. We are investing in education, digital infrastructure, and entrepreneurship to future-proof our workforce and access or expand access to meaningful, inclusive economic opportunities. And finally, number 7, culture, creativity, and youth power. Finally, we recognize that culture is not ornamental. It is foundational. And we are empowering the creative sector and investing in our youth as drivers of innovation, civic pride, and transformative change. These 7 commitments are interconnected, mutually reinforcing and rooted in the values we want to carry into Baguio's second century. Baguio is not just a city that survives, but one that leads by example. Ultimately, the true test of Baguio 2040 is not just whether we implement programs or meet targets. It is whether people's lives are truly impacted, truly improving. To answer that question, we have developed a powerful tool in partnership with UN Habitat, the Baguio City Quality of Life Index, our primary measure of success and vision attainment. This Quality of Life Index reflects a holistic, multi-layered approach to monitoring well-being. It integrates both global indicators aligned with international frameworks such as the Sustainable Development Goals and local indicators specific to the needs, context, and aspirations of our communities. Importantly, the data feeds into the Quality of Life Index is drawn from our existing systems, namely the Livability, Inclusivity, and Creativity Indexes. The Quality of Life Index is currently under pre-testing and we are preparing for its public release. To ensure broad, rich transparency, we are designing a digital platform that will allow residents to access, answer, review, and understand how their city is performing and where it must do better. And this is the ultimate invitation for citizen engagement, a call to share responsibility and a testament of our commitment to building a city that measures what matters, the well-being and dignity of every Baguio resident. The results of the pretest already offer important insights. It indicates that 59.8% of residents in the city say that they are fairly satisfied with their lives. This tells us that while we are making strides, there is meaningful work to do and there's still meaningful work to do in closing gaps and ensuring that satisfaction and well-being are shared more broadly across our barangays, since 11% reported being unsatisfied. As we continue to refine and measure our progress, Baguio also recognizes the importance of placing our local journey within a global context. And that is why, together with the UNDP, we have recently published our 2025 Voluntary Local Review, or VLR, a public declaration of how our local actions align with the United Nations SDGs. The VLR is more than a report. It is a statement of accountability and a reaffirmation that our commitments to Baguio 2043 are rooted in global values, inclusion, sustainability, resiliency, and equity. It will draw from the very systems we have built, our digital twin, the CBMS, the Liveability, Inclusivity, and Creativity Indexes, and the Quality of Life Index to show how local data drives real outcomes. We covered all three types of indicators for the VLR: global, national, and local, which are applicable and available. We exhausted all efforts to gather data from various sources: the CBMS, national government agencies, the CSOs, and the academy. We can now fully report for Baguio City's VLR for 7 out of 9 goals which were lifted from the city's livability index. There are 2 goals wherein we were only able to gather partial data, namely SDG number 9 regarding industry, innovation, and infrastructure, and SDG number 10. This is about reduced inequalities. The biggest progress is with SDG number 13, climate action, with indicators on track and no regression reported. This is due to the mechanisms in place to effectively manage disasters as well as the policies that promote climate action in the city. The city is doing better compared to the national progress on this goal, which is actually experiencing a downfall trend nationally. Progress is shown in SDG number 2, reducing hunger, SDG number 4, promoting quality education, and SDG number 6, ensuring clean water and sanitation. SDG number 8, advancing decent work and economic growth, and SDG number 11, creating sustainable cities and communities. The most challenging goal for the city at present is SDG 3, promoting good health and well-being. More than half of the assessed indicators for this goal show a regressing trend, particularly on mortality rates as well as on communicable and non-communicable diseases. Nationally, this goal is also regressing, showing the need for urgent actions. Through this review, we are not just measuring progress and regressions, we are actually sharing our lessons, challenges, innovations, and aspirations with the world. The 2025 VLR will be a tool to keep ourselves honest, to engage citizens more deeply, and to build stronger partnership with those who share our beliefs, and must be built for people, for the planet, and for generations to come. In the end, the future of Baguio will not only be defined by how fast we grow, but how wisely we govern, but by how we use intelligence not only in systems, but in choices. How we pursue sustainability, not as a slogan, but as a standard. And how we build resilience, not just in infrastructure, but in our communities. If Baguio gets this right, If we stay true to the vision of a livable, inclusive, and creative city, grounded on data, driven by people, and guided by purpose, we will see the outcomes we hope for: a regenerated environment, a stronger social fabric, and a more inclusive, future-ready economy. This is our challenge, this is our opportunity, and this is our shared work to build a Baguio that not only survives the future, but shapes it. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po. Pleasant afternoon to everyone.
Thank you, Mayor Magalong. Your presentation gave us a very clear picture of how Baguio is taking a long-term systems-based approach to urban governance, one that listens, adapts, and plans ahead, from improving mobility and environmental quality to pushing for innovation, creative industries, and land security. It's clear that your city's vision for 2043 is grounded in practical action. Now, to our audience here, please feel free to use the Q&A box in Zoom or the comment section on Facebook Live so we can answer them in a while. So may we request our speakers to come back on screen for our panel discussion. Ms. Pia Ranada of Rappler, Mr. Karlmarx Rubia of Globe Telecom, Dr. Jesus Estanislao, founding chairman of the Institute for Solidarity in Asia, and the Honorable Benjamin Magalong, Mayor of Baguio City. On to our questions, your questions. This is our chance to engage directly with our experts on today's critical themes of transparency, data-driven governance, and institutional reform. Please continue typing in your question in Zoom or Facebook chat, and we'll get back to it as soon as we can. So our first question, please feel free to our distinguished panel. Who would like to answer this first question that was asked by our audience? Given our history of leadership, transitions, disrupting programs, how can we institutionalize good governance practices so they survive beyond single administrations, especially when local officials change every 3 years? So anybody from our distinguished panel, maybe Mayor Benji, if you'd like to start.
Thank you very much, Yenny. No, that is actually the challenge for any to any leader in any organization, especially at the local government unit. Even it, to be honest with you, even if it's institutionalized, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee because at the end of the day, it's the leader that dictates the behavior of the people in the organization. But then there's a big difference if there are institutionalizations of systems. For example, we also have this, we are working now on our transformation system, our transformation program in collaboration with ISA regards to the implementation of our performance governance system, or we call it PGS. And it's now becoming a big difference. We're creating a big difference in the city of Baguio, especially in the promotion of good governance and in the improvement of our systems. Second is we also adopted ISO. We just, we're sustaining our status, our ISO status 9001 2015. But probably the biggest factor that would ensure sustainability is the creation of the People's Council, wherein it is actually a representation of the various sectors in the council. And the good news is we just had it translated into one ordinance. And that's probably one of our biggest accomplishment and achievement. And now that we have also submitted that as our challenge on the Open Government Partnership. So we're expecting that anytime soon we will be able to get recognition with regards to the creation of the People's Council and the passage of that ordinance. So once again, as I've said, to repeat, leadership plays a major role in determining the behavior of the organization and the behavior of the people in the organization.
Thank you, Mayor Benji. Dr. Jess, would you like to add to that?
Yes, I fully support what Mayor Benji said. When he talks about the People's Council, that was a term that originated in Naga, but it's not exclusive of Naga. We're broadening it by calling it as a multi-sector governance council. That really means that the people in the citizenry get involved and have a stake in the continuity and sustainability of the governance program. Baguio is a good example of that. They have a good multi-sector governance council. And the moment the systems are in place, are systematized, it's very difficult to reverse gear. A bad leader can stop, but eventually there are elections and then new leaders will come out. The important thing is that the momentum for change and transformation gets embedded within the people and within the leadership of the different sectors that constitute, in fact, the city. The moment you get all sectors of society together, as the city of Baguio is doing and many other cities are doing, it's very difficult to reverse course. Let's not forget, governance and transformation are long-term processes. We started, for example, in the city of Iloilo in 2007. And it's amazing the transformation that has happened in Iloilo because they have been careful that the business community gets very involved, leads the transformation process under the auspices of the city mayor, and then wins the support of as many sectors as possible. And very important is the moment you bring this down to every barangay, then the local leadership will have a stake in the sustainability of the process.
Thank you, Dr. Jess. You just mentioned about how private sector can help. So may I ask this question to Carl? Carl, good governance correlates with building accountable and responsive governance supported by digital tools and technological advancement. However, can this be extended to remote areas like whole where digitalization and connectivity remains a challenge? Like especially now with the weather, everybody seems to be complaining about poor connection or
Yeah.
no electricity. So how do you respond to that?
Yeah, that's why my presentation earlier, no. So I've shown how Globe continue to expand its facility. So we acknowledge that that indeed, no. So our Philippines is an archipelago, so that's one of the challenge right now. So we're spread all over, right? So that's why Globe is trying its best to bridge that gap. That's why we continue to invest on facilities because we acknowledge the fact that indeed having an infrastructure is one of the fundamental shall we say element no for us to transform because without the telecom infrastructure all of these programs won't take effect because everything has to be connected, right? So that's why year on year we continue to invest. And then that's why I think you heard in the news that we will continue to expand our network, right? To more cities, more to serve more cities, more places, more locations, to make sure that we support, especially in this time of, especially now that it's typhoon season. Actually, you've seen that in the past, wherein Globe was one of the first responders, no? During typhoon season, we are the first ones was able to restore our facilities back into service. So yeah, we're conscious of that. That's why we continue to expand. So I think that's the key.
Thank you, Carl. In terms of online, Pia, may I direct this question to you? It's quite well, it's been trending now in online communities. What platforms such as Rappler support utilize in building online solidarity where information is funneled and discourses often take place? Like what happened about the puns that local governments or some government agencies have been sending out during this, when announcing no classes or no government office. So how do you look at it? based on your experience for online communities and your forums?
We've seen that social media is increasingly being a not ideal source of information for people just because the algorithms that big tech platforms tend to deploy are super opaque. And there's actually news already. Facebook actually admits that they limit the exposure of news websites pages on people's feeds, meaning you will see less of news outlets post on Facebook than you would have maybe 3 years ago. So that's a intentional policy of Facebook to reduce the quality of information you will see on their social media platforms. So while we know that a lot of Filipinos still go to Facebook, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, we at Rappler still keep presence there. We still have our accounts there. But what we did at Rappler was create our own social media platform because we think if we have more control over the algorithm, there's actually no algorithm on the Rappler app. It's really based on what's newsworthy. So think of our app as a social media platform managed by journalists instead of big tech bros. So if Facebook was managed by Maria and not by Mark Zuckerberg, how would that look like? So the Rappler app is really an experiment there. So we're still on social media because Filipinos are there, but we offer our community an alternative to Meta, to Instagram, to TikTok because we understand that their motivations may not be in our best interest because they're profit driven. Whereas Rappler, our commitment is really to prioritize showing you news information that matters to your life and to your decision making.
Thank you, Pia. Dr. Jess, may I ask this question? The Philippines has no shortage of good governance laws. That's the LGU code, the freedom of information, etc. Yet, implementation gaps persist. As practitioners, what's one underutilized policy or tool that could transform local governance if executed properly? PGS has succeeded in cities like Baguio and Balanga, but smaller, poorer municipalities often lack resources to implement it. So how can the framework adapt to LGUs with limited budgets and technical capacity?
It does not depend on budget. The PGS, in fact, is a people's initiative. You see that in Baguio. I was very honored to talk with the two young councillors that have been elected into the City Council of Baguio. And their very clear idea is we're here for the next 9 years. We have to make sure that, in fact, we connect the dots. Governance is about connecting the dots. So when you talk about citizen participation, you talk about local leadership, barangay innovations, and whatever have you. All of these things have to be put together. And the beauty of governance and the transformation under the PGS is that it focuses on solidarity, getting people to work together on common causes. Data-driven problems have to be resolved through collective action. And this is, in fact, what drives success. And it does not depend too much on legislation. Legislation helps. It facilitates. It provides the framework. But it needs people that will, in fact, give substance to the interconnection of dots. I was just sitting with the governor, talking with the governor of Bataan, Governor Joat Garcia. They have a program for school feeding with assistance coming from the Japanese government. It has not gone off very well because there are no producers of the food that is required to feed the children. And Bataan is full of land. So what you need to do is to connect a few local entrepreneurs who are engaged in agriculture, who can produce the food products for which there is a market because that's part of the school feeding program. There is demand for it, there's a market for it. And so what we need to do is simply to connect the dots. That is what governance does. Bring citizens together, bring various sectors together and say, let's solve this problem. And it takes local leadership, it takes visionary leadership, but at the end of the day, it's getting people to think together, to work together, and to solve problems together.
Thank you, Dr. Jess. That's really connecting people, right, Mark? Carl?
Yeah.
So there's a question from Darwin Manubag, city admin of Iligan. In the context of sustainability, we understand that innovation is the way to go. We already have the Iligan Cities People's Council, through an ordinance, and we are very aggressive in our smart cities vision for the past 3 years for the first term of Mayor Xiao. What is challenging is the culture change inside and outside of the government. Any advice from the distinguished panel?
Good.
Well, that is
Mayor
where
Benji, would you like
Mayor
to?
Magalong started, really.
Yes,
When he took
the
over,
People's Council.
that's the very first thing he did to make sure that, in fact, City Hall as an organization moves together in sync with the mayor and for the benefit and welfare of the city. Because we Filipinos have the tendency to build silos. Different departments in City Hall work their own ways and so on. They go there at their own pace, following their own direction. And what governance does, what transformation does, is to bring them together, to connect them with one another, and let them move according to the vision that has been set out by the city leadership. That is really very important. The very first thing you need to do is to win hearts and minds of people who work in the office of the city mayor, eventually all of the offices of City Hall. Let's band together. Our experience, for example, in the city of Mandaue, for many years, they have different city councilors, each one with an office, and no one talking with one another. And what the Office of Strategy Management of Mandaue City did was to bring all of these offices together within the city council and get them to think together. That requires leadership, that requires the vision of a city mayor.
Thanks, Dr. Jess. What about you, Mayor Benji? How do you respond to this question?
Thank you. Maraming salamat. Una, I would like to commend Mayor Frederick for transforming the city of Iligan because he's so upbeat with technology. At the same time, we exchange notes, especially in the aspect of the use of technology, for example, pursuing a smart city status or smart city programs. You know, you cannot change behavior overnight. You cannot. It takes time, and you have to play the long game. But there are also short-term solutions, and there are also quick wins that you can do and pursue at the same time. It took me about 3 months to really, what I mean is impart to our employees my intention. But it took me about 3 years to really see that sudden or to see that tangible change in behavior. When I took over, um, public service was always linked to politics. I'm going to support you because I'm going to help you because you're my supporter. We're going to promote you because you have helped me in my campaign. And you see people lining up in City Hall asking me to promote or elect, or I would say appoint certain individuals because they helped me win in the election, or their relatives of people who helped me win in the election. It's very frustrating. Then all you have to do is really emphasize to them that promotion, selection should be based on merit. It took some time, again, to convince them because you create a lot of enemies as well. But you know what matters most is the the dictum that states you have to lead by example. There's no substitute to leadership by example. And you should have that moral ascendancy. You cannot just simply say, this is not how to do it. Yeah. You have to say, this is how to do it. And I should be the first to do it. So when you talk about good governance, you say, good governance should always start with me. Good governance should always start with us. Good governance should not only be an ideology, it should be a way of life. But again, it's not done overnight. No. It's a challenge, it's a journey. It's a journey. And I'm really glad that Sir Jess is always out there to provide us all the pieces of advice, and there's ISA helping us really transform the local government.
Thank you, Mayor Benji. That was quite it resonated with us that, good governance starts with us. So we walk the talk. So there's a question for Pia. How does Rappler ensure that the voices of marginalized or high-risk communities are included in disaster coverage?
Yeah, thank you for that question. What we do is we visit them on the ground. So our reporters really go around the communities that are most affected. Like yesterday and even today, our reporter was in Marikina, one was in Bulacan, and we also actively crowdsource videos or photos from citizens wherever they are. Yun na nga eh, citizens even kahit no matter where, what economic class, have iPhone, smartphones now and can easily also show their perspective. So we really maximize that. Yeah, and when we have consultations, we try to do it in a more inclusive manner. So if it requires us to go on the ground to reach, for example, senior citizens, we do that.
Yeah, but how do you respond to fake news, especially now with disaster, with what we're experiencing now in this weather? There were a lot of people who keep sending out videos about what's happening in their area. How do you report that? Do you have like a platform to
Yes.
check whether it's disinformation or real news?
We have a dedicated fact-checking unit, and you can see all of our fact checks here. Let me send the link. It compiles all of the fact checks we produce because we are one of three fact-checking partners of Facebook. So medyo frenemies kasi we criticize Facebook for their algorithms, but we're also naman partnering with them for their fact-checking program, which in the States has already been shut down because of the Mark Zuckerberg romance with Trump. How do I send that kaya? Anyway,
Please send it here in the chat box and we'll send it to all our participants.
okay.
Thanks, Pia.
It's here. And you can also email us if you need something fact-checked. Just email us at factcheck@rappler.com. That will go to our fact-checking team.
Great. Thanks, Pia. Dr. Jess, there's a question for you. The Philippines ranks poorly in global corruption indices. Beyond punitive measures, what practical strategies have you seen rebuild citizen trust in institutions at the local level?
Okay, let me tell you where we have been. During the presidency of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, we're in the last third using corruption index and competitiveness and so on. The World Economic Forum ranks countries every year on the basis of corruption, in the basis of good governance, and we're in the bottom third of all countries in the world. Now, we installed various governance mechanisms in different national government agencies. We qualified for the Millennium Challenge Corporation. And eventually, when President Noynoy Aquino took over, we're able to bring the Philippines from the lower one-third to the middle third of all countries, which means the Philippines actually made significant strides, leaving various countries in terms of risk management, in terms of good governance, and in terms of corruption. Now, you begin focusing on a number of very corrupt agencies. For example, we started with the Bureau of Customs during Duterte's time. And in 3 years, they were able to clean themselves up. And within 3 years, the World Customs Organization pointed to the Philippines as an example of what a well-improved customs administration can be. So the first answer that I can give you is that it can be done, one institution to another, one local government unit to another, one corporation to another. That has been our approach. But now it is important that cities like Baguio, who are leading the way, get to interconnect with other cities and local government units so that, in fact, they can share experiences. And I'm glad that Mayor Banjay is the head of the Mayors for Good Governance. What we're doing, for example, with the public sector hospitals, we're working with all DOH public hospitals in the country. And in each of them, there is an Office for Strategy Management. You know, what we've done is to connect these different offices. So they have now a consortium where they can exchange good practices, they can address common issues that they face as DOH-connected hospitals, and above all, they share good practices and they inspire each other. That is how the Philippine system actually can go up on the basis of mutual help, solidarity, following the example of the city of Baguio, having Mayor Benji Magalong take care of responsibilities higher than just the city of Baguio. I'm
Thank you,
putting
Dr.
aside
Jess.
now.
Mayor Benji, speaking of the mayors for good governance, since we have new mayors and re-elected mayors, how is the Mayors for Good Governance organization, or the organization you co-founded, is coming along? Because I saw that you have a call for new members.
A good question. No, good
Yes.
question. And probably the next question you should have to ask is, are the 202 mayors who are presently members of the movement really practicing good governance?
Ah. That is.
We did our evaluation and assessment immediately after the elections, and in fact, there were only 4 members of the lead conveners who were re-elected. And it turned out that there are many mayors who simply use us as deodorant, because based on the reports provided to us by the secretariat, many of them did never attend any of our activities. In fact, we make it a point that every 2 months, we have all these activities, we have these workshops, exchange of best practices, capacity building, and capability building activities. But they never attended. Second is that we're getting a lot of feedback from their own constituents that they are not genuinely practicing good governance. So this time we will be doing some filtering. And it appears that, based on initial assessment, probably out of the 2002, we're going to probably terminate about, I hate the word terminate, probably decline the application of about 30%. The good news is we have many young mayors who are applying again. Last elections, we were surprised before the elections, several weeks before the election, we were surprised that around 50 mayors applied for membership in the movement. But we declined it because, and then what is the motivation? What is their motive why they were applying just before the election? They should have applied in 2023 when we started the movement. Why only now? So again, we declined. And so we're doing our own filtering now, and probably we're going to start from 202. We'll be reducing the number to about 130 or 120, but we don't really care. What is important is we have members who are genuinely adopted and integrated into the system that values of good governance, especially in the aspect of transparency, accountability, and strong citizens' participation.
Oh, I see. I thought it was automatic when you're elected as mayor that you automatically join for Mayors for Good Governance. We didn't realize that you have a system to weed out, or at least to determine who is eligible to be a member.
Yes, during the initial stage of the movement, we decided to just simply accept their applications, thinking that people change. That is the assumption. They will change. And hopefully they will be able to modify their grid until such time that they will finally realize that there should be a zero tolerance of corruption. But it never happened.
Great.
It never
Thank
happened.
you.
Itapi, may tinatawag tayo na MAP, because many of our politicians are actually do not want to give up their special perks and privileges. And I can summarize that in 3 words, MAP, masarap ang pera.
Wow. Thank you for saying that, Mayor Benji. Quite bold, I must say. Now, if I may switch a little bit, because Carl, you talked about new opportunities offered by digital technology. So what are the services that are offered to LGUs that can probably tailor fit big data, IoT, and AI into good governance?
So yeah, so thank you for that question. No? So there are a lot, no. So for example, Um, so one of the example that we have is pertaining to, for example, disaster. No, so we have what we call the data platform, wherein it contains, of course, anonymized data of our customers that will provide you statistics. For example, where the customers are, that will help you somehow. For example, if you have programs on related to disaster, we call this footfall analytics. So this will provide you an idea where the majority of the constituents are, right? Where are the majority of the populations are, so that you will be able to come up with the necessary program that will support them. So that's one. And then of course we have this part of our data, also our data platform is you being able to know in advance what are the type of demographic that you have in your constituents. Now from there, you would be able to, for example, customize different programs. So we call that acquisition suite or audience builder, so that for you to learn what are the type of demographics that your constituents have, and be able to come up with different programs specific to them, right? And then at the same time, being able to cascade those programs to our, for example, messaging platform or ads platform. So those are the few things that we can help in terms of governance. And then, of course, in protecting the data, we have the suite of all cybersecurity solutions that we have that cuts across different layers. Of course, as I've said earlier, emphasized earlier, the importance of cybersecurity, especially now that everything is digital. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of, you know, uh, uh, shall we say, individuals na in the sense sabi natin walang magawa, or all after na yung parang mamerwisyo sa mga tao, di ba?
Mm.
Infiltrate the data. So to protect the data of our constituents, so we have that. We have all of those suite of cybersecurity solutions that we can provide as well. So yun. Plus of course the cloud infrastructure, the different types of cloud services that we have, no, to be able to support your, for example, your programs really, as I mentioned earlier, no, related to making everything online, right? Because that's key, right? A key to good governance is transparency. So everything has to be online. So to be specific, it has to be, so information needs to be available anytime, right? So we at Globe, we ensure that we are so the technology that we use, we make sure that it's an enabler to that objective. So that's why it's very critical for us to come up with a discussion. So we don't have one size fits all solution. So the solution will vary depending on the needs, for example, of a particular LGU. So that's why it is important for us to have that conversation. So to me, that's why I emphasized earlier the importance of co-creating the solutions together. So we need to sit down, we need to understand what are the needs, specific needs that you have, what are the priority, what are the key questions, what are the pain points of your constituents that we are trying to address. And then we come up with that type of solution. So I've shown earlier the different layers of solutions that we support, from cloud connectivity, cybersecurity, up to the applications, even IoT. No, so we can develop that as we discuss, right? So that's why it's very important for us to sit down. So we are here. So Globe have consultants who are experts on those various fields that can help, create, build the architecture that's suited for the needs of the LGU.
Thanks, Carl. Okay, my phone is buzzing nonstop because of the bold statement that Mayor Benji said about MAP. Dr. Jess, how do you respond to that? How do you react to that?
Well, we bring ourselves back to core values of the people that we elect. It's very good for the city of Baguio to have elected Mayor Benji Magalong with the proper orientation and the experience and the values that they have. At the end of the day, this is a democracy, and therefore it is the people who will have to decide what type of leadership they really want for their respective communities. Now, I'm glad that several communities are waking up and they're electing people like Mayor Benji and several of his colleagues in the Mayors for Good Governance. But what we need to do now is to give them quite a lot of support and use them as beacons of light so that, as psychology tells you, in any situation, you have 20% who are very good, 20% who are impossible, forget about them, and it's the 60% that you have to bring into the side of what is good. So Mayor Benji has 200 mayors. He brings it down to 130. What we need to do is to give support to all of these 130 mayors that really want to produce outcomes that are transformative for their communities, and then begin drawing all the other city mayors who can be brought into the good side of governance. In this case, the country can move forward. You can never clean the entire Philippines completely. There are going to be bad local leaders. That is an inheritance from the past. And that is the reality of our being human beings. But you have good people. And what we need to do is to give them support, give them the proper connection so that, in fact, they can go much farther, not only towards 2043, but first 2028. So can they show the good face of good public governance in 3 years? And then it snowballs and these people get reelected. Look, when we started ASA, we started with 8 dream cities. And within the first 2 years, we found out that good governance meant good politics. The 8 mayors that we were dealing with, that were working with us, in effect, got reelected with no problem whatsoever. So this is what we need to do. The Philippines can be good. We can have many good mayors, but little by little, we have to give support to people like the 130 that Mayor Benji has brought into his fold. And make sure that, in fact, they succeed, they keep going, and they get all of the citizen participation in favor of good governance to work for their local communities.
Thanks, Dr. Jess. Continuing that, what you said, Mayor Benji, you said your members or the mayors for good governance come together every 2 months. So the question is, do you discuss from pork barrel scandals to delayed project approvals? Bureaucracy often hampers progress. So how can you and the other mayors cut red tape without compromising accountability? And what's your most successful, let's say, hack to accelerate public service delivery?
Well, you have various examples. I mean, City of Iloilo, for example, they do not require you to go to City Hall in order to renew business permits. The mayor doesn't want to see you. Everything is digitalized. And that's why the services that Globe provides can be very helpful for good governance. So the transformation of systems, digitalization, that is what we did with the Bureau of Customs. It's amazing. Within 9 months, they can show our results because the tools are there, the transparency is there, and the occasion for graft and corruption. So it's a question of systems and procedures and making sure that we introduce modern technology to ensure that transparency and accountability are observed.
Thank you, Dr. Jess. Last question, Mayor Benji. We have a lot of good questions, but unfortunately, time is running out. But the last question goes to Mayor Benji. Looking beyond or looking ahead to 2028, so beyond infrastructure, what foundational governance practice must cities institutionalize now to ensure sustainable, inclusive growth for the next generation of Filipinos or the next generation of local government units and leaders? So what's that one big insight that would trigger system change in good governance? Mayor Benji?
Well, the way I see it is that we have to think ahead. And so I would see that we have to create more future-ready cities or future-ready municipalities. No? And we have to utilize and exploit in a positive sense our young people. Our young people. And so this is now the right time for us to really develop their leadership potential and at the same time get them involved in decision-making process. There are many areas in the Philippines wherein the culture dictates that only the elders have the right to lead. Only the elders have the right to decide. And to me, we need to break that culture. And at the same time, we always say, young people, you're the future leaders of our country. I hate those words, future leaders of their country. And in fact, I encourage our young leaders every time politicians call them future leaders, they have to, totally disagree and get insulted because if there's any time that our young people should be leaders, it should be now. And for the city of Baguio, we're sharing this best practice. If you look at we have about 27 policy-making bodies, Peace and Order Council, Anti-Drug Council, Local Health Board, Local School Board, and the ICT Council. If you look at the membership of young people in the past in these policy-making bodies, there are only about 1%, 2%. Now we have increased it to 30%. And that only empowers them. And they'll be surprised that when I ask a young person to preside over a conference of the people's, City People's Council or City Peace and Order Council, you're surprised that our young people were actually asking the smartest questions.
Yes.
They were also coming up with the smart comments. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Kaya nga, kuminsan, kikindatan na lang kami ng mga elders doon sa council. Sabi namin, it's just a matter of really inspiring them and motivating them and letting them feel that we trust them and that they have that talent, the skill, and at the same time, that attitude to really lead. So let me also share with you one of my when it comes to good governance starts with choosing the right leader. That's a personal perspective. It will always start with choosing the right leader. And we're a bit upbeat because of the result of these 2025 elections. And we're hoping that young people will be more involved in choosing the right leaders. That's why we're now raising awareness on what's really happening in the entire country, the realities. We're starting it also with the Alpha. We have the millennials, we have the Gen Z. This time we're going to start it with the Alpha. They're probably about 15 to 17 years old. And by 2028, I believe they are ready to make their vote, the right vote. They're choosing the right people in critical positions. So yun yung programa namin. What disheartens me is that during the last election, when I was talking to a group of people in the religious sector, including distinguished individuals, and when I was talking to them about character assassination, what was prevalent or pervasive during the 2025 elections, ang sagot nila is, Mayor, normal lang yan. Kasi election eh. I almost flared up and I said, many of you are Christians or Catholics and we believe in Jesus Christ. Yan ba pala ang sinabi ni Jesus Christ? Na pagdating ng election, suspended muna yung righteousness at yung ethical leadership. Sige, magsiraan muna tayo. Pagkatapos ng election, resume natin uli yung righteousness at yung ethical leadership. So the question is, tama ba yun? Tama ba yun? And that's no reason why, probably that's the reason why I hate this, to say the words. That's probably the reason why this country is in deep shit because of that mindset and attitude. So that's my personal take. So thank you very much, Yanni, for inviting us. And Sir Jess,
Yes.
thank you for always inspiring us, for motivating us. And alam mo si Sir Jess ang aking model lagi.
No, thank you to Mayor Benji for showing other mayors the way to move forward towards better governance and responsible citizenship.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Benji, and thank you, Dr. Jess. Carl, what's one sentence or one lesson you can instill to our audience on good governance based on your experience and Globe's experience?
Yeah. So, well, I'm talking on the side of technology, no? So
Yeah,
basically,
please.
good governance is really, so as we say, it's all about transparency, accountability, and really, trust. It's really built around that, no? So that's why we at Globe, we make sure that we provide the right infrastructure to be able to support that. No, so we harness the power of technology uh, to be able to make sure that those key objectives are met, right? For us to achieve the good governance. So we make sure that connectivity is resilient, right? So resilient and of course secured. So that because at the end of the day, it's really all about trust, no? So our constituents should be able to have that, that confidence, no, that we are transparent, right? We protect for example, the data that they entrust to us, right? So and make sure that we make them involved. And so right now we have all the technology, we have the facility to be able to put that together. And really the key here is, as I've said, is really for us to collaborate. So that's why I would like to emphasize really earlier the ecosystem model that
Yeah.
I've shown. No, because having good governance and also being able to use technology is not only the mission of one, for example, of a technology company alone, right? You cannot do that on your own, right? So you build that through collaboration, right? That is important, no? You build the ecosystem, you have the collaboration, you harness the strength of one another, right? To be able to achieve whatever objective. Because at the end of the day, technology is just there. It's just an engine. But technology is as good as the one running it, right? So we have to have the foundation. We have to establish that good principle so that we would be able to use technology properly to our advantage.
Thanks, Carl. Pia, what's one insight that you'd like to share with our audience?
I think one way to build trust is really to show that you actively value and seek out your citizens' feedback. So that's something that media, I think, can play a part. And that's why Rappler is really active in kind of having this convening role. Kasi minsan it makes more sense to involve other sectors in that parang feedback mechanism. Like maybe some people would parang they try other ways. Like I'm sure LGUs have their own mechanisms for gathering feedback, but partnering with media, for instance, na we also generate a kind of trust because parang third party kami, di ba? We're kind of in a way parang not involved party in whatever project or program is there. So that's another way to gain trust of people if you seek other methods of feedback, such as maybe mechanisms provided by groups like the media.
Thank you, Pia. As we conclude today's Livable Cities Labs, thank you so much. Let's carry forward, let's say, 3 key lessons that we were able to gather from our building good governance discussions. One is transparency reforms. From Baguio's Intelligent City initiatives to Rappler's citizen reporting, we've seen how openness builds trust and drives accountability. Data empowers action, whether through Globe's tech solutions or ISA's PGS framework, metrics-driven governance turns insights into impact. So we've also seen that heard that collaboration creates resilience. As Vice Mayor Estrella and the Honorable Mayor Benji Magalong demonstrated, lasting change happens when leaders, citizens, and institutions work together and be good governors or at least leaders themselves. So that concludes our program for this afternoon. Too bad we don't have enough time and we have a lot of questions. But our deepest gratitude to today's distinguished speakers, Ms. Pia Ranada of Rappler, Mr. Karlmarx Rubia of Globe Telecom, Dr. Jesus Estanislao, founding chairman of the Institute for Solidarity in Asia, the Honorable Benjamin Magalong or Benjamin Magalong, Mayor of Baguio City. We would also like to thank our partners, the League of Cities of the Philippines, Globe Telecom, and the Coca-Cola Philippines for making this lab possible. Please complete the feedback form that is flashed on the screen or scan the QR code. Your input really helps us share future labs. And all participants will receive a certificate of attendance. Thank you again to our distinguished panel of speakers, to our audience for being part of this really important conversation. It's quite enlightening. Together, we're building cities that work for all Filipinos. Please stay safe and see you at the next lab. And may I call on our chairman, Mr. Bill Luz, for our concluding remarks. Bill?
Thank you. Thank you, Yenny. First of all, I want to thank all our speakers and our participants for having the flexibility to join us today due to the inclement weather and transfer to our Zoom platform. We're happy to see you all today. I think we learned a lot about governance and about livability. From Pia, we learned that it's important to, bring knowledge and engagement and participatory democracy and just good old-fashioned journalism into the picture, because this really informs people and keeps people very well engaged in the issues that concern them, on a day-to-day basis. From Karl Marx, yeah, we learned about the value of connectivity and agile cloud solutions and cybersecurity, and in a single world, trust. I think how we need to trust our technology and use it in ways that will help us with governance and livability for our communities. From Jess, we learned, Jess has been our guru of governance for many, many years, having, established the PGS, the Performance Governance System. We learned that it all starts really with individual values that are instilled on an individual capacity and then expanded within the family, within the school system, and then within larger and larger sectors of our communities, starting with our public spaces, but of course extending into our private spaces as well. So thank you, Jess, for those insights and all that you do for governance. And I think from Vice Mayor Estrella and from Benji Magalong, what we learned is that livability, good governance, it's all about implementation, and it's all about getting things done. It's all about getting the youth involved, and it's all about really leadership by example. And one of the things that encourages me with this year's midterm election in 2025 is that it goes to show you that when good options are given to voters, voters will respond correctly and will be able to vote some people into office, maybe not all of the people, but some good people into office. And so it goes to show you that what happens when choice becomes good choices become available. Oftentimes we've been blamed, voters have been blamed for the quality of our leaders, but actually it's because the quality of the candidates has been quite uneven. And I think now that we've gotten some good quality candidates being offered for election into office, voters are beginning to respond positively. And I hope this is a trend that continues over the next several years, because this is the only way to turn around governance and livability in the Philippines. At the end of the day, it's all about who voters bring into office and who voters keep into, in office. And so I hope and I wish Mayor Benji good luck with his Mayors for Good Governance. I think the idea, the concept is great. I'm sure there are many people trying to take advantage of it because they realize that good governance does work well as a deodorant, but we need to filter the bad guys out. But yep, I think we need to keep on focusing on offering good candidates for office so that voters will be able to respond positively. So again, on behalf of Livable Cities, thank you very much for joining us today. Pia and Karlmarx, Dr. Jazz, Mayor Benji, Vice Mayor Estrella. The audience, of course, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you in one of our future labs. Thank you and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Sir Jess, thank you. Maraming salamat po. Carl, thank you. Sir Bill, thank you.
Yep.
And
Salamat,
Yenny, thank
Mayor
you.
Benji. Salamat, Mayor Benji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Dr.
you,
Jess,
sir.
thanks so much.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you.
you.
Pia, Karlmarx, thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to our audience. Thank you very much.
Thanks to the audience.
Do we stay on? Bill? Wala na. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Bye.